Calling to order the Municipality of Monroeville's budget meeting, our first budget hearing for the 2026 annual budget. This is our first of two hearings by law. We will have another one week from today at 6:30 for our second hearing, and then council will consider this budget at the December regular council meeting. This is not a voting meeting, but it is an opportunity for department heads and the public to discuss, along with council, the annual budget. So I'm going to open the floor for public comment for budget issues only. Is there anyone from the public that would like to address council regarding the budget? Seeing none, we're going to close the public comment. There will be multiple opportunities for public comment as the process moves forward. We will have our agenda-setting meeting and our Citizens' Night the first Tuesday of December, when we can discuss any municipal item, including the budget. Also, prior to the budget being adopted at the second Tuesday in December, there'll be another opportunity for public comment on these items, along with next week's second public hearing as well. So we're going to get right into the budget here. We have department heads this evening that are going to be discussing their budgets. We're going to start with the IT department with Tina Mueller. Please.
I can give you some supplemental information.
Thank you.
I get it. Yeah, I got one for sure.
I have one, thank you.
I stand here.
Wherever you're comfortable.
If you have the budget book, I'm on page 11. Is the numbers, and page 101 starts the narrative, if you're interested in that. And what I'm handing out to you is the first page kind of discusses what each of the lines are that that we have some play with. As I think most of you already know, there's lines that are sort of determined by finance. Things like insurance costs and healthcare things, pension sort of things. So I can't really speak to those. If you have a question about those, you're going to have to talk to Josie. But then there's a group of them that as a department head, that I get some choices over. So I made little descriptions for each of those so that you would, in case you were curious, what that money's being spent on. There's one big change. Well, first of all, there's one area that you'll notice takes up most of the budget, or that's not like the personnel costs, and that area is contract service fees. These are either maintenance contracts or software support kind of things. It went up kind of big this year, and what that has to do is Microsoft is now, they're going to up all their subscriptions by 45%. So that's sort of something we have no choice over. Microsoft has decided that. So I put in the budget. Hopefully it won't be quite that much, but all of the industry experts are saying put another 45% in your budget.
And no other competitors, other options?
So if you want, you can go to some things like Google Sheets and Google Docs instead of Office. We've kind of built a lot of what we do around the office because we use Microsoft Outlook to do our email and Word to do the word processing. So we could think about it would be a huge training expense. So you'd incur some other expenses.
Well, Tina, didn't we have and again, I may be confusing with other IT stuff, so if we didn't have this conversation, please don't be surprised. But if I'm not mistaken, there are some related security issues that some people will not accept a lot of the Google communication information.
I really haven't looked into that,
Okay,
so I will
I
defer
believe
to
there
your.
are some of those, but that is the other option, like Google Meets and stuff like that aren't getting accepted outside of the the normal stuff, like whether you're using Teams or you're using Zoom. Are we keeping Zoom up?
We are still
license.
keeping our subscription to Zoom because it's not all that expensive. So we do, in fact, that's in there. If you look at the second page, I broke down all the costs from that contract service fees if you don't like the high price, I'm going to have to ask you to pick which one of these things you don't want. So, but we do have the Zoom in there, if I can find it. I sorted it by most expensive to least expensive. Yeah, the Zoom is $615 for the whole year.
So not a,
I'm
so
keeping
if some
it.
people presume, and then the, like, is it Google Meets, the calendar organization software?
We don't pay for any subscriptions to that, so.
Is that what we're
And,
using?
along with what you're talking about, I think a lot of federal governments stay with the Microsoft,
They do.
so.
They do.
We could look into it, though, if you'd like.
It just makes something to consider long-term if it keeps climbing, but at this point, I think it's probably more of a monopoly, and they have a stranglehold on it.
It's a monopoly, and, just, I think what happened this year is they finally dropped support for the local copies of Office. You have to have the subscriptions now, so then the price magically went up. I think it was planned all along.
Well, but
But that probably means that next year it won't have another jump,
But we'll never suffer any issues if we didn't, quote unquote, pay the bill for the local licensing upgrade fees, right? So that's in,
Yeah, you can keep your local copy for eternity, it's not supported, and if there's a bug found in it, they're not gonna
they're not
patch
gonna
it.
patch it, right,
that
too.
sort
But
of
all
thing.
of this now, I mean, we had to get something out of it, for the being stuck to the subscription. So we're not at threat of not having licensed software for day in and day out work.
Oh,
Because they're gonna, because
If you
we're
stop
paying.
paying,
No, we're paying this. That includes all the ongoing fees for it and upgrades and stuff, so it's never on us
Yeah.
if we didn't pay for something.
and
It's
that's
on
what, and
them.
they patch it all the time for you, and and then you get all of the products, instead of worrying about whether you've bought the pro license, do you have PowerPoint, do you have this, you get it all with our.
With all
our
of ours, yeah,
subscription.
to do that too. And then also the security software, are we using Defender for it, or we use another? And I may have asked I may have asked this
We have
question before.
we have an extra antivirus on top of that, plus
Hmm.
we've paid for, extra security on our anti-spam devices, we've paid for extra security on some of our internet circuits, like, we've been trying to do as much to add the security levels that are reasonable.
Yeah, it's been great.
And we're hoping to next year do a little, our people have been very good and haven't succumbed to phishing scams or anything like that, but we were hoping maybe to do some training next year to help out with that.
Good luck, it's always changing.
Does anybody have any questions?
And you have two people in the IT department?
Yes, and the police has one IT person that is very good about, helping us out if we need it. We help him out, too.
And there's been, so I know council just received, they had a digital copy, but then, the hard copy of this. I believe this is the fourth draft, Alex? We have draft four?
Yeah.
Third.
Third?
No, it's fourth on the bottom.
There's
Well,
a couple
I'm
moving
case, I'm
parts, yeah.
sorry.
There's a lot of moving parts of the budget, but from initial draft to now this rendition, any significant changes from?
None that I made. I think that Alex took a little money off me.
It's out there.
He took a little money off everybody, I think, to try to reduce the budget for you guys. So.
Okay, does any of that have,
No, I think that
Issue?
most of it is kind of, things that we can manage.
okay. Anything else? Tina?
I have nothing.
Council, anything else for the IT department? Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Tina.
Moving over to the Senior Citizen Center. Tara?
A little bit of, they all work, we can call them that too.
Hello.
Evening, Miss Sarah.
Give you a little handout.
Okay, yes.
If you're looking at your binder, I'm on page
Thank you.
46. You also have it in your packet that I gave you, so you can choose to use whatever you wish. I tried to give it all of it paper clipped to you in one little stack, so you have to flip. The top page kind of just gives you the details of everything. You'll you'll see in the copy that I gave you in the stapled packet, there's 3 highlighted areas, which, again, I spelled out why they were highlighted in the top page. Mainly when I met with Alex and Josie and MK, I had no major changes to my budget. Basically stayed the same and was consistent with last year's budget. There was a little bit of actually stuff that I minimized. I didn't increase anything. The only thing that I did talk about with Alex was adjusting my fitness coordinator's hourly rate. You'll see I spelled it out in the top sheet there. I know I've gotten up here several times to talk about my employees and their hourly rates. I just feel I wouldn't be a good supervisor or a good boss to them if I didn't. Spell it out to you guys and make the decision. But you can see there the rates of my other employees and where he stands. I think it's important to make his salary competitive with other people within the municipality. He does a tremendous amount of work, teaches 5 to 6 classes a day, 5 days a week, holds a master's degree and over 6 certifications to do his job. He's responsible for the majority of your Silver Sneakers revenue, him and his staff. He oversees all the part-time group exercise instructors, which is why you get a lot of the revenue that you get from our fitness programs. He oversees all of that. He administrates all of that, programs all of that, and I feel it's necessary that he gets compensated for that. Every year, we continue to make more and more Silver Sneakers money. And I know Alex wants to give everybody 3% across the board. I know a lot of people got raises last year, and he was overlooked, and I really don't feel he should be overlooked this year. I just don't. Especially when we had a new employee come in last year making the same hourly rate as him. He's reached the 5-year mark. He showed his commitment to the municipality, and I just hope you take that into consideration. Other than that, I asked for nothing else out of my budget. I kept it pretty much the same. I just want to spell out the 3 things that Alex made adjustments to. It's your decision whether you want to keep it the way Alex has it, but I wanted to just highlight some of my concerns with that. One being overtime. By all means, my department is very conservative with our overtime. We do not take advantage of it. We only use it when necessary for 3 reasons. Evening and weekend programming. You don't want to give me as much overtime as what I've requested, then that will be sacrificed. We are always continuing trying to reach more and more members of our community, and a lot of people, even seniors now, work after, so we're trying to provide more evening and weekend programs to reach those people. Secondly, when our evening supervisor is not, has to take a day off, vacation, he chose this year to take the summer off. The staff covers those hours. Also, there are incidences where there are custodial projects where my custodian has to go in, waxing the floors, cleaning the carpet. Those things cannot be done. There are projects that cannot be done while we're open. The biggest change in why I really feel you can't, right now, we've already spent about $5,000, a little bit over that, and the budgeted amount is only $3,200. This fall, we became a polling site for Monroeville. Originally, it was at the Monroeville Library. Now it is going to be at the Monroeville Senior Center 2 times a year. It'll average out to approximately $2,500 to have one Public Works employee there during that day. They have to get there at 5:30 in the morning to be available at 6 a.m. for the poll workers, and they leave about 9:30, maybe a little longer on a big election year, president election. This year it was, not that big of an election, so they were out by 9. And those are not constituted in last year's budget. So you're looking, you know, at about $7,000 a year, and that's if I don't, you know, grow any of the programming that we do.
They get
So-
double time on election day?
They do, because it's considered our holiday, so they do. That's why you have about 20, and I constituted it being a Public Works employee because they get first dibs at it. Our past one, a week or so ago, he did the majority, it's a long day. So he worked from 5:30 until 3:30, and then my program coordinator came in and filled in for the rest of the day. So it, you know, a little bit less of an expense when she came in, but it still
It was like a
averages out.
16-hour day. You said 5:30 to 9:30.
5:30 to about 9:30, yes.
So it's a 32-hour
Yeah,
day.
he thought he was gonna last all day, but he didn't. So,
So it's 64 hours for the 2 elections.
yes.
We have to account.
Who makes that decision to make it a polling place?
We were approached by the county.
Judge of- Yeah,
the
yeah,
board
and
of-
then the local judge of election.
Yeah,
Department of Elections.
they asked, they
Reached
wanted
out.
a bigger space. It worked out actually extremely nice for them. I believe they liked it there. The large room splits into 3 different areas, so they had each ward in the 3 different areas. So they had a lot more room to spread out. They actually had the tables kind of delegated so people could go sit to fill out their ballots. They left extremely happy about it and wanting to come back, so. We're already closed because it's our holiday, so it was not, the seniors or the members are not losing anything from that day. We're already closed, so.
Okay, thank you.
Secondly was building maintenance and repair. Every year I work with Mike Strom, the supervisor of, Public Works, and we come up with a winter project. As you know, my building's extremely old, so there's always, things that need repair or maintenance being done on. So we always try to come up with some, you know, a list of things that need to be done. 99% of the time it's in the winter because obviously they're extremely busy during the warmer months. So I know when you're looking at this year's expense for things, it doesn't show that my department has spent that much. There's 2 reasons for that. One, we decide on projects we're gonna do, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna get done exactly when I ask for it. You know, the building maintenance crew for Public Works is extremely small. There's a lot of facilities, a lot of buildings that they have to oversee, and Mike ranks them in priority. So this year, as you know, they spent a lot of time in the municipal building doing stuff for the police department in 9/11, and obviously that's a priority. And they haven't not gotten to my building yet. So, the plans were to, re-side our barn. I don't foresee that happening this year. We're already like beginning of December. And the other major project was, reconfiguring our staffing offices. When I started there, it'll be 25 years in February. It was me, a secretary, and a custodian, and we've obviously grown our staff. And, obviously, our staff's positions have grown in responsibilities and different things like that. So we needed to make office spaces for everybody. So the plan is to, we currently have 2 people kind of at the front desk. It's not enough work room for our membership coordinator. So our intention is to move her back to where our program coordinator currently is. And that position is being filled, is now becoming an assistant director position. They will move back into the fitness coordinator's position, office space. And then we are building out an office area inside the fitness center for our fitness coordinator. That way, he is in direct contact with all the people that use the fitness facility. Kind of make it like a fishbowl office so he can see them, they can see him. There's better supervision. They're more welcome to come and ask him questions about how to use things. It also gives our assistant director a more private office too. So that was put into this year's budget. I don't believe that's gonna start this year either. just because they're currently tied up with things in municipal building.
That was
So-
budgeted for
That was
25.
budgeted for 2025. That's why you see,
$2,000 versus the budgeted 20, yeah, actual
yeah,
versus, yeah.
so
cool.
if those, you approved them last year, so if you still want them to be completed, that budget amount still needs to be the same. And it
These
was,
wouldn't be capital projects.
no,
They could be,
They could be.
yeah. It depends on the depth of the, of the, yeah, of the
Of the repair.
renovation. So it's,
it's up to you, but I'm just pointing out that,
Does it make a difference? Does it make a difference? I mean, I guess this is for Josie or Alex. Does it make a difference if we move them into capital as opposed to the operating?
I know when you're doing like, when you're building out like an office area with the drywall and all those things, like, I know you guys, the approval process for capital budget items are, I don't know how you would get your approval for all the little, it'll add up to a lot of little things, but it's not one where you go buy one, one big item for it, you know what I'm saying?
Especially when Public Works is doing it.
Yeah.
Different if we had like a third party doing it, that'd
Yeah.
be different, where they're gonna say they're gonna charge $20,000 to do this, that's the fee for that business.
Maybe
but
the
Public Works is
re-siding
doing
of the
it.
barn could be, but I don't know about the actual,
Weren't we
build
try-
out of
weren't
the
we in
office area.
capital trying to use 25,000 as sort of the pie in the sky number to say if it's more than 25, it should probably be in capital,
our threshold's 5,000.
right, for individual things, but I mean.
Individual
bigger
items.
projects, yeah.
Or what?
For like bigger, for these.
No, it's just our policy is anything
yeah, yeah.
above 5,000.
I know you have to explain all that when you get audited and.
Yeah.
I know that's not a small, it's not a small decision, it's small.
No,
decision.
it's not, and to decide where it would go, it would really be helpful to have an estimate
Yeah,
of
that would be a
what
good
would
start.
be entailed.
What is being estimated, and obviously.
Yeah,
Tara's done a great job of listing these out. It's just, we are trying to manage the rate of increase. This department, just as it's budgeted, is increasing 6.9%. We can't have every department increase by 6.9%. We just can't. And so, yeah, I'm
how's
trying
mine,
to.
I didn't change anything in it, so how did it
This
increase
is
from
just
last year to
salaries.
this
It's
year?
salaries
Just
and
80% of the cost is humans.
Salaries,
Yeah.
wages, and
And
benefits.
those increase are all, some of those are in our control. We have very amazing benefits. Healthcare is not cheap. It just is what it is. So all I'm trying to say is, it would be helpful. We can work with Tara, if we can work with Mike to get an estimate. In the scheme of things, this is a 1.99% of the entire budget. I think we can find some extra money, but we just try to go off some historical standards. So we look at 22, we looked at 23, we looked at 24. We saw year-to-date, and yeah, the request is 40. We have this year allocated, in this year's capital budget, a good deal towards the senior center, which is long overdue, including tiles and painting and doors. I did believe that going down to 25 was an appropriate amount. If I have an idea that these projects are going to cost 35,000, we'll put the 10,000 in. If they're going to be 37, we can do the 12,000. If they're 32,000, that's great. So I think there's room to do it and have no problem making those adjustments, but it's just like a lot of things. We're trying to do what you all do, is just sharpen the pencil. And I think last year, department heads could pretty much testify to this. Whatever was presented to me, I call it a momentum budget, just move through. This year, they presented it to me, and my job was to find ways that I thought I could make some space. And unfortunately, as already been said with Tina, 65% of her budget is salaries and benefits. 80% of this department is salary and benefits, and these are small amounts in the scheme of things. But look at the bottom line. The budget we have in here is $817,000. Last year, we budgeted $771,000. Look at 22, 559, 609, 648, 625, 771. If we continue the rate of increases, they're outstripping the rate of inflation, we will have tax increases. And when we have discussions about services, including trapping with the animal control officer, we have to realize that you can't do maybe all that you've done in the past with the same costs. of the price of the product. That's the taxes. If we don't want to increase taxes, and I know one does, we're going to have to try to do things. Tara does an amazing job. The senior center is a small part of the budget. So I don't want you guys to lose the forest for the trees. If we need to
But
put
it comes down to, like,
$15,000 in there.
You keep cutting, you traumatize my services.
Every department has to be below a certain rate to make the whole budget work. At the end of the day, that's going to be my job. So I want you to understand, if we want to restore some money or push more into things, we can do it. It's not going to break the bank, but I did with every department, and Tara's not the only one who's not tremendously happy with me right now. I've tried to find ways to cut. She's doing the right thing, which is trying to make a case to you of where maybe these adjustments can be made up. And at the end of the day, you have to see the bottom line. The bottom line, 6.9% increase year over year. I don't have the math in front of me, but just look at the actual of '22, 559 to the actual, to the
Yeah, but
budget
it
for
goes
this year.
by, just in my defense, you can't, when it comes to building maintenance, you cannot look at it year to year, because it's based on my projects.
100%.
So here, what project I had going, like I said, we pick a project that we do every year. So it's based on the project that we're doing for that particular year. And that particular budget line, like, you want to look at cleaning supplies and cut from there, fine, you can look at that, because that's, an average per year. I'm fine with that. I would have told you to cut it from there versus building maintenance, where I have a project planned. So it all, listen, if you
And to
don't put it
Tara-
there, then I
in
don't do the
Tara's
project.
defense, these are older buildings, and we talked a lot about this in the Capitol. These are buildings that have just been,
That's why I asked, honestly,
Yeah.
because
Well,
I know
these-
that we were
well,
doing a lot of stuff at
so,
the.
so again, we're blessed.
Senior
You,
center.
you chose to invest in staffing that you didn't have 10 years ago. We have a journeyman plumber, carpenter, electrician. We didn't have those in the past. We're able to do things in-house, like that 911 center. You saw the work over there. It's high-quality craftsmanship. We can do things. We've done the locker rooms. We've done things, so we can do them. So it's kind of wonky to go capital, but part to her defense and to our challenge. This is not the growing Monroeville. This is the mature Monroeville of stability. We have to have a budget that represents that stability. It cannot continue at 7-8% clips of increase, and us not to have to be somewhere pay the piper.
Yeah, the big driver of this, and even every department's going to be health insurance. That's the big increase across the board. It really isn't, and that's really the outlier.
And I know overtime pay is something that's very much a challenge. Believe me, this is tiny compared to some of the other
Right.
departments.
Yeah, I try to be very conservative about my overtime,
And again, we could look at restoring or trying to get that. Tara's done an amazing job, and I appreciate what she's giving you all tonight. We can work with her to go through these things and to try
Yeah,
to
I
see
can work
some.
with Mike to get more of a compacted list for you.
Yeah, an estimate of.
It's just,
if
we
it-
continue to grow, and it's a great thing. I mean, it's exciting. And just
Very much.
example tomorrow, or yesterday, before noon, we signed up 12 new people. That's like a daily thing. And even more so now that the Wilmerdine Community
Well, that was
Center's
actually,
closed.
Tara, that was
We are
actually the
getting an
question.
extremely large amount of people coming in. And there's only so much room we have in there.
Do you
So,
project
like,
that, do you project that revenue line? Again, I was gonna ask you that question. I mean.
That silver
affected me.
sneakers is
Yeah,
gonna
right.
go up, but with that, we have
Good.
turning people away. We can only have a certain amount of people in the classroom because of size. It's more wear and tear on the building. It's these kind of things that I'm coming to, that's why those projects are there. If we want to continue to grow and be what we are the best senior center in Allegheny County. I thrive on that. I mean, my staff work hard to be that. We welcome new people, and we don't want to be turning people away because we don't have the growth of our building that we need. To me, like, we were looking into expansion, and so wasn't the library, and us collaborating with things like that. If we're not going down that avenue, then we have to look into the building maintenance of things. It's 70 years old. I mean, it's from the 70s. Not 70 years old, but it's from the 70s. And, being there 20 years, I see the things that need to be fixed. And, want people to
No-
walk in and feel like it's not building from the 1970s anymore.
Yeah, nobody has a crystal ball, and it's never, and I speak for council, intention to cut necessary building maintenance or repairs. We just don't want the building to dilapidate until it can't be fixed. And we want to stay up with the maintenance.
I'm definitely not one who goes and spends it
I
to
know
spend
that.
it.
I know
So
that.
you'll see at the end of the year, like, it's still, if I don't have something to spend it on, I'm not gonna just go frivolously waste the money. I wasn't, taught that way from any place from the place I came before, all the other places of employment, I was taught very well by my supervisors. You know, I don't spend to spend. So if you may give me 40,000, but I may not spend it.
Right.
Like, but I had to ask for what I think the estimate of it is. But
Well, it sounds like we can get these projects done between Public Works and you, and that's what I'm hearing from Alex as well.
Yep.
And then whether it is a combination of operational or capital, depending on how it's coded, I think we can get
Yeah.
these things
The main
done.
thing is the overtime, like, you want to keep it at that, that's fine. But when I come back next year and I'm in the red, I don't like going in the red. I will never go in the red. If I don't have to go in the red, I like to stay well under. So I don't want to be coming back here or halfway through the year, you reaching out to me saying, why are you over budget in your overtime? Like,
Do you think you're going to be able to consistently, you hit on something too about expansion, and you're kind of like outgrowing certain
Yeah,
stuff
we are.
now.
We
So is
definitely
there
are.
a projection, again, stealing Bob's line about having a crystal ball, but is there any way to look also at least 4 years, 3-4 years into the future, if you think it's consistent, going to do that that you may need additional facility space?
I mean, I've been there I went there in 2006. So
right,
I've been
right,
there
right.
20 years and it's done nothing but continue to grow. It's never stalled.
I mean, if that's a realistic projection, it's a realistic, because now we're trying to, this past year with the capital improvement plan project, we can start to kind of look at that, and if we do
Right.
look at larger bond issues, want to roll that stuff together, it may make more sense.
Right.
Okay.
Definitely, like, it's in the capital for next year, parking, like, everyone knows.
Yeah, parking,
Parking
yeah,
down there
I
for
know.
both us.
We
I
have
mean,
it,
the
yeah.
library continues to grow. We continue to grow.
Right.
And if we both have a program going on the same time, or or I have a bigger luncheon going on, there's nowhere for anyone to park at the library, because my members
Or
take
you-
it and vice versa.
You need us to work
That
with,
definitely,
or you need us to help work with the school district to help on a better circumstance to share in parking, or something like that.
yeah, I
It's
mean,
better.
my clientele, it's kind of hard for them to walk. I know
I
that,
understand.
you know, that's
No, I understand.
quite a distance for them to be able to walk.
I would not park at the school and walk down to the senior center.
No.
And he's young.
It'd be too taxing.
I know.
Well, again, to
Bob, I know.
that point, and some.
But it might alleviate maybe people from the library, so that I don't know.
We're acquiring the land, Lord
Yeah.
willing, soon. We have a sales agreement that's in review of Mr. Ratcher. Dr.
Right.
Ratcher, he can be a doctor as well.
Yeah.
May as well, he's
Well, that's
starting
his
off.
sister's Dr. Ratcher, actually.
Yeah. But Bob is looking at the sales agreement, and if we acquire the property that's between the two properties,
can
we'll
add
be able
quite
to
a
do a
lot.
site
Yeah,
plan.
that's kind of, just thinking too,
Yeah.
and then, expand into being able to move.
The
people
school
from
district
point A to point
property becomes interesting when we have festivals and larger events, then that would create a win-win for us if
Yeah.
we're able to
Yeah.
do something there. But
We have ideas, but the funding for that, I mean, there is some of it
Mm-hmm.
in capital next year. I don't know if that would cover all of it.
Hope so.
But, definitely expansion of the building, that was something we were looking at and was approved for me to look at prior to COVID. And we were in the midst of having like an architect figure some couple designs out. Believe it was put back in the budget for 2025, but it's a little bit late in the year, but if that can be moved into 2026, I'll definitely go back into looking at that, so that
Sure,
next year, budget time, I have some plans for you.
yeah.
And then the Silver Sneakers and Silver and Fit, that revenue that comes in, that goes straight into the general fund.
Mm-hmm. That goes
It does
into
not
general
come to the
fund.
senior center. It's general
No,
fund.
it goes to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Terry.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
We'll stay in the same neighborhood. We have the library. Nicole?
Thank you. I love the library.
Thank you.
Good evening. As always, thank you for your support of the library. Your support makes it possible for us to serve your constituents. As Tara said, just as the senior center continues to grow, the library continues to grow. I'm passing out a page that highlights some of the things that your investment in the library has been able to return to your constituents in 2024, which is the year that we have the most current verifiable data. 2025 isn't over yet, so those are 2024 numbers. And we've had a lot of great opportunities to share with the community over the last several years, thanks to your support and the support of our donors, foundations, the state, and the county. The library is composed of two budgets: the municipal budget, which covers approximately 70% of our expenses, and that can be found on page 47. We tried to hold the line as much as possible. Some of the things weren't possible, such as utilities. We did have a cut in staff. There's one less staff member in there. So our total increase is about 3%. And that includes things like health insurance and pension, things like that. But bottom line, we tried to keep everything as close as possible to previous years.
Any good news from the state, Nicole, since
We-
they showed back up at work? Did
we
I say
did-
that out loud? I said that on camera. Oh, no, shame on me.
We did have good news from the state. For the first time in 4 or 5 years, they increased the state subsidy by 7%. For us, that means about $10,000.
It's
But that's
something.
better than the
Nothing.
flat that we've received. And before that, it was 12 years since there had been a raise. So we're still not back to where we were in 2007, not counting inflation, but it's still in the right direction.
Sure, it is.
So we're very pleased that they passed the budget, and we are ecstatic that there was an increase for libraries.
That goes from, to us or to ACLA?
That goes into the fund through ACLA.
So Nicole, and I don't know if this is for you or for Josie, the retirees insurance,
That is a Josie question. I believe that is from an employee who retired
That's-
last year.
so there were zeros, and then,
We need to explain that for
That's
everybody.
because It was,
I'll do it if you want.
it was being charged to a separate fund, our OPEB fund.
So,
And then after the audit, our auditor recommended we either start funding OPEB or that we move everything back into the general fund and pay it that way, because essentially what we've been doing is just paying for it. The OPEB fund really never was able to pay any of the expenditures every year. So if you look at the financial statements, there's really no fund balance left in the OPEB fund. So that's why that increase is there.
And one of the things we're doing is too, departmental billing. We are trying to allocate costs to departments that are actual, so they reflect their real costs. What we had done in the past for OPEB, though, was being paid by the general fund, and that stands for, basically retirement benefits. It's post-retirement benefits. So that account, as Josie said, basically can't cover the IOUs. The due to froms or greater than account. The account is about $8 million in it. And so for this year, we're quitting the charade. We're just paying out of the general fund the amount, and we're charging it to every department. So the police department, for example, has that line item where they didn't. That is a significant reason why the department's, to Tara's point, is increased. Some of that is being accurate. Before, it just kind of was out on its own. And some departments didn't have as many retirees as others. Now, as you know, the RHS, which you also see in this budget, after 2005, the new hires at that point moving forward, depending on the contracts, employees in Monroeville have a retirement health savings account, so that when they retire, they'll be able to use that tax-free if they apply it. I think that's the only way they can do it, is for health insurance, pay supplements or whatever they need to do for retirement. But there's a lot of employees who are on the books that we're obligated forever, until they're gone, to pay their health insurance. That's about a 40-some million dollar liability. Currently, there's about 8 million in the OPEB fund, and quite frankly, if you did the due to general fund from the OPEB account, there would be a negative balance, it'd be zero. So we're quitting that charade. Hopefully next year, we do either one of two things. We start to draw down the OPEB annually till it's gone, or we just move it over. Quite frankly, I'm very nervous of where the fund is at. It's at an all-time high because the market is high. But many of you realize the market is leveraged. The stock-to-value ratio is absurd, and all of us should be a little nervous there's going to be a correction in 2026. I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm very concerned that while we're doing very well in our OPEB, and Bob, we had a meeting last week with our account manager, we're kicking it in OPEB account. But what good does it do that is that gets erased with a correction. So your auditor has said to you, Bob Ratcher said to you a number of times, that we're going to move in 2026 to write that. Meanwhile, each account, each department, police, public works, library, seniors center, whatever retirees they have that we will have to pay and do pay, the retirement benefits will be reflected in their departments, won't be a standalone. And we're going to be moving a couple of things that way so that departments are accurately shown to be the real expenses. We're not going to do these generic insurance accounts. We're going to see that on the fire and EMS side. For example, we pay the workers' comp for fire and the ambulance workers. We're moving those expenses into those, so that it reflects the true cost that you incur for supporting your fire and EMS. This isn't a punitive move, this is just an accuracy and transparency and budgeting move. It's just giving clarity of what really is going on. So we're truly stating what the real costs are for each department. That was a long explanation, but I'm glad we got that, because actually we missed that with Tina and with the senior center. That's
No,
the
and I
driver in those costs going up.
Correct, and I understand all of that, and that's, yes, I understand about the OPEB fund, but there would be some unique situations where maybe there'd be a department being billed for a retiree that maybe didn't spend their entire career in that department. So I know we have some clerical people that move around, maybe they're in one department and they spend a lot of time there, and then over the years, maybe they go to a different department, so then whenever they retire from that one,
Well, we just got to pick the last one, though. You would just pick the.
but if somebody stays here for 20
Right,
years,
right.
and they spend 10 years in one department, 10 in the other, but then that last department, maybe it's the library, then gets stuck,
Right.
Holding the bill when really they should be maybe half of it if it's half of their career. And I know it's a unique situation, but it's something we got to consider, so that way a department isn't inflated, incorrectly.
All right.
We want to be accurate.
I want to ask Alex to expand more on this, because traditionally, retirement funds are the things that get communities into trouble. The people that put them into Act 47, and I'm sorry, Nicole, it's a little, not necessarily for you in part, but where people say, you know what, we'll fund it later. We'll fund it later. So is this, by putting it in the individual departments, a better way to assure that the retirement benefits are constantly funded, as opposed to us, like you were saying before, we've taken money from OPEB and we've paid it back most of the time, but I know we have taken money out of OPEB to do things and then put it back.
So to be clear, the obligation was always being paid and will always be paid. It's a contractual
Right.
agreement. It's a right of the employees who've earned
And
it.
out of the general fund.
And yes,
Yeah.
and so
Exactly.
I think what we're trying to do, specifically by allocating it to the budgets and taking in consideration what the mayor said relating to employees who served in multiple departments, we'll consider how to arrange if it can be done that. To your question, we were going to pay it no matter what. What we're quitting is the absurdity of pretending that the OPEB was going to cover it. And when I say the OPEB, that's the funding account established in 2008 at the sale of the sewer pipes to the municipal authority. At that time, we sold an infrastructure asset to the authority, and we took the proceeds of that asset, a portion of it, and established the OPEB with an idea that we would, from the general fund, fully fund it. What does that mean? I told you it's about a $40 million obligation. There's about $8 million in there. You can do the math, but roughly that's not very well funded. Typically, a pension is in distress. For example, if it's only 70% funded, it's in distress or below. Our police pension's about 85% funded. The municipal employee pension is 100% funded, actually about 106% funded. We're part of the PMRS system statewide, so we're doing very well. It's a good pension, solid pension. you'll hear sometimes about city pensions being problematic.
Right.
We're nowhere near that. But this OPEB was a kind of an absurd thing, because again, if you've got about 7 or 8 million, you have over 40 million of obligation, that's nowhere near fully funded. Fully funded would be that 40 million number. Okay, so that's one thing. You've stopped the bleeding because you changed the paradigm. You stopped saying we would pay retiree medical benefits, post-retirement benefits. You've stopped that. That was done by councils back in the mid-2000s. But what we're doing is trying to create the transparency to quit pretending the OPEB was going to pay us back. That is that amount of money that's sat there and earned interest. So however, the next year or two we handle that, we'll worry about that as we go. What we wanted you to do is see the real cost by department of the retirees that, for the most part, graduated that department. There are a few exceptions, but most police stayed in the police. You know, they weren't public works for 10 years and went to the police, or vice versa. But there are a few out there that we've got to like account for and maybe adjust.
It's worth
for.
considering.
Yeah. I don't know if that helps your question,
No,
but I
it-
want the public to know that we will always pay those amounts. And I want employees to know, no one's not going to get their health care lost. The obligations we've made will be paid in good faith till the last person who was given that. And it may be 20 or 30 years out when the last people finally, or maybe longer, are no longer getting
Right.
that benefit.
So it's stable. I guess that's really the confirmation you're saying. Employee pensions and stuff are stable. It's not.
Our
something-
pensions are in great shape. Now,
And
that
we're not
doesn't mean we still
underfunded.
don't have a big MMO, municipal minimum obligation.
Right.
And we still have to contribute, and during contract negotiations,
Right,
we'll
right.
try to get more contributions from employees, but they're in good shape. They've been well managed.
That's probably a more important discussion for people to hear.
Nicole, do you have anything else? We should have offered you a seat, actually.
She was on vacation.
I was on a very heavily walking vacation.
Okay.
My sisters almost killed me. They're much faster than me. So
I'm sorry we got off track.
that's
Is there
okay.
anything else you would like to talk about with your budget?
No, I think it is what it is. I mean, we're of course disappointed to lose a person, but we understand the importance of balancing the budget. We'll do the best we can with what we have.
How many full-time employees do you have?
This will make it 14.
You have 14 full-time? Do you have any part-time?
Through the fund, we have 5.
14 full-time, 5 part-time.
But not funded out of the municipal budget.
No. And prior to the pandemic, we had 31. So we're doing a lot with fewer. And we're at the point where we can't do a lot more of that. But we will do the best we can and continue to serve the community in the best way we can. It might look a little different with, with that cut, but we will still serve them to the best of our ability.
And the part-time hours, does it vary by the 5? Are they 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 30?
Back when we had them through the municipality and we had 20 part-timers, about half of them were under 20 hours and about half were above. Right now, all 5 are at about 20,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
But thank you for your support. The library, we should be very proud of our library. It is the 5th busiest in the county. And in a county with 46 libraries, that's nothing to sneeze at. So we certainly appreciate your support and will continue to try to offer the best we can to the community and move to where they need us to as far as services.
All right. And thank you to the
Thank you.
board for showing up this evening.
Thank you.
Library board.
They're awesome.
Yeah, I know. I had to wake them up, I know. Because I got tired of the retirement discussion.
I'm up.
Okay, Finance Department.
All right. I've already given you your handout. Okay. This one or this, does it matter?
Your choice.
Okay. All right. So the handouts I gave you, you have, it says finance budget, and it's 3 pages. The first page, just this little detail, of our revenues. And I know tonight we're really not talking about revenues, but it's just for your information when you're looking through the rest of your budget. On page 2 of that, 2 of 3, is the expenditures. Now, the reference that's there said page 21, but it's in this book, it's 10, where you'll find these numbers. And what I have done in the past, some of you may remember, you need to look at pages 2 and 3. I've split my budget into salary and benefits and what I call controllable expenses, because salary and benefits, as we've discussed previously, are really not within our control.
That doesn't mean they're uncontrollable.
That's
As opposed to
It's
controllable.
not the department
Yes.
head's control. And just as a note, the health insurance for retirees in finance is 72,000 and change, and the health insurance for current employees is 71,000 and change. So that's just something to note. And now, again, that's something that really is not in the department head control, because it's decisions that were made, in previous years. Page 3 of your handout is the controllable expense. And for my controllable expense, I have an increase of 89%. And I'm going to explain to you why that is. Basically, most of my expenditures stay the same from year to year. I have a very small department, small part of the budget. But about 5 years ago, I came to council and requested new software for our finances. This was, at the time, it was during COVID, and we had been paying our previous company, Tyler Technologies, over $100,000 a year for the services, and AccuFund was probably about half that. And so in an attempt, Tim and I discussed we could cut some money off the budget, since those were crazy times. So come along 5 years later, and for the most part, AccuFund has been pretty solid. But a couple years ago, they were bought out by another company. And since then, we've noticed a big deterioration in support. And that's really not acceptable for financial software. In addition, due to the increase in HR reporting and maintenance requirements for employee benefits, whatever it is that falls under that, Kate was looking into adding HR software in its own. So Alex gave us permission to go ahead and review and investigate some of the software that's out there. And the one we that decided upon, and there was a group of us, I think maybe 5 or so, that sat in on these sessions and, saw what the capabilities were. We decided the BSNA, that's the name of the software, is way above the capabilities that we have through AccuFund now.
I'm sorry, Josie, what was the name again?
BSNA.
Okay.
And actually, I did a ChatGPT search for, top government software, and that came. Can't really rely a whole lot on ChatGPT, but that was like one of the top 3. And specifically, that search that I did, Tyler, which we would have the option of going back there, but it's more expensive than BSNA. They rated that for municipalities with over 50,000 employees. And, I'm sorry, 50,000 citizens. That was the size of the municipality. But we have 28,000. So we're more in a smaller size municipality.
So how painful of a transition will this be?
Well, they take about a year to train, implement. They come in and study, see what your processes are. And actually, they do quite a bit of work. So the reason my budget is high, I'm like going on, and I thought I'd be quick. But it's because they have an implementation fee, a consulting fee of $193,000, which is a one-time. And that's for them to come in. I can't recall where they're located. They'll come in and they'll spend a couple weeks at a time here evaluating what our needs are and exactly what we need. Anyway, like I say, there's that one-time cost of, trying to find it, one-time cost of like 193, and the contract service would go up about 40,000, but that would be what would be paying to get an additional software for HR. So when you combine the two, it would all be in one system, and
Plus, you'll stick that 40,000 in Tina's budget, because she left.
exactly.
One of the things that we set as an objective was AccuFund is cantankerous and hard to do the kinds of things we want to do to create greater transparency and clear budgeting. It's literally, they export constantly to Excel to create spreadsheets that would make sense to you, like simple things like dollar change, percentage change over time.
Right.
They're constantly exporting from one software to Excel to make it work. That should be native. It should be, and it should be able to do projections. We have to do the projections manually through Excel. It's a process of exportation and then manipulation within Excel. A budget software should natively do that without doing 7 hoops. So we're hoping that a number of the staff people who I've asked to provide the kind of budget things we want to do to improve the budget process, we just can't do effectively, efficiently through AccuFund. We need a new software to make it where we want it to be, and that was part of the driver, not to mention the service issues. There are times where staff is logging in and having to re-log in multiple times an hour because AccuFund disappears. It just,
Yeah.
and it's all about
What's
data.
the HR component look like?
I'm sorry?
What does the HR component look like? It's different
I'll
than
take two
what our
things,
process
comp
is
time
now.
and overtime. We have a
Well, yeah.
challenge of manipulating and doing those things through Excel. And Kate is amazing. She's almost as good as Josie when it comes to Excel. Josie, Kate, and I have a little, like, we love Excel's club. We do it like video games. And so we won't have to do that. When we do the payroll system, we'll be able to better manage some of those things that are
Right.
challenging to track. And
Yeah.
again, it will be more native. And then not to mention onboarding and other kinds of things that HR software is doing. Some of those components are in this.
The HR software predominantly for the financial functions, not HR software concerning,
It's for HR,
like their records management, their employee histories, their
I believe so,
histories,
yes.
discipline,
Kate-
commendation.
Kate could answer
add-on.
that better, but yeah, I believe that what she told me, that the capabilities in BSNA from an HR perspective, is every bit as, complete as you would get with a separate software.
Including like HR and training records and.
I believe,
things like
yes,
that, too.
yes,
Okay, so-
anything
So
that's-
we're getting a little bit more bang for our buck
We,
here.
yes, we are, yeah,
To keep track of that.
yeah.
Josie, I can jump in too,
I'm
having
sorry?
the HR background and working with Kate on the HRIS side of BSNA. It does a lot with like our state and federal reporting as well for our employees. So right now, Kate tracks all of that, bless her heart, on an Excel. And one of the challenges that we have is employee movement, within the municipality, where Kate tracks that manually. This kind of software will kind of track those changes for us and be able to provide demographic reports and position change reports for
We
council
have
as
people
well.
within the payroll period who are working, for example, in community development, who pull some shifts down in the dispatch. And they're totally different creatures in the way Kate has to manipulate
Yeah,
that to make the
split it in
timesheet
process,
work.
right, I mean-
Yeah, it's just a lot slicker way to do it. It's straightforward.
Yeah, and it has document management, training, we can upload training documents and handbook policies right to BSNA, and employees can go into their designated dashboard portal and approve and review new policies. They can do trainings on there. They can upload new documents, whereas right now they have to physically email them or give them to Kate. So it's just gonna save a lot of time.
So if this gets approved for the 26 budget, what's the timeline?
About a year, 9 months to a year. So, last I spoke to the representative, I told him I would present it at this budget hearing, and if we got approval, then we'll start with, getting all the contracts signed, and then they would come in the beginning of the year sometime and start their process. But it would take the better part of 26
So it's
before.
AccuFund for the 9 months and then going live, like that 9 or 10-month mark?
Right. Well, whatever it takes, yeah, but they essentially said that was about 9 to 12 months.
Okay.
Depending on how complicated our system is. Okay.
A little bit more than we've had in the past.
Yep.
Any
Any,
questions for Josie?
thanks.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Josie.
Next, we're gonna, the fire chiefs join us.
You okay?
She good.
Sure, okay.
Looks like they're gonna gang up
Take a
on us.
break before we're done.
Looks like we're in a gang up.
Emotional support, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So we have a new, we have
faces, yeah.
new makeup here, a new,
Yeah, so
new faces, so.
We'll introduce
Chief, please.
ourselves.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
good evening. I'm Logan Stadler, Fire Chief of Station 4.
Matt Belts, Fire Chief, Company 1.
Sean Cook, the new fire chief of Company 5.
John Hoffman, Deputy Chief at number 3.
Corey Ramsey, Fire Chief of number 6.
Thank you and welcome, guys.
Thanks for coming out, guys. So, Chief Stadler, go ahead.
All right, so, since Jason's departure, last year into this year, I took over as the Finance Delegate for the Fire Chiefs Committee, so please bear with me. Would you like to start with 2,200 fire suppression or 2,400 emergency medical services?
We'll go numerically, 2,200, please.
What
22.
what page are you on?
So in your book, it's 21 of 232.
21?
Okay.
So before you get started, one of the things that Josie and I may have to explain, and when you have Hugus here next week, we'll talk about, is the top line item, gasoline, oil, lubricants. We feel really good that we're getting close to being as accurate as we can by department. We discovered through last year and this year's budgeting that the way cost was being allocated for the gasoline, oil, and lubricants maybe wasn't truly reflective of that department's use. So you might see some nuances, and I think the experience we have in 2026 will even have better even numbers in 2027. Is that fair to say, Josie? So these departments didn't say, hey, we need this much in lubricants. They pretty much, it is what it is. The fire equipment in this case get the fuel there, and now we're trying to make sure we get appropriate allocation of this. So you'll see in different departments, that line item vary.
Well, that'll also include then also in 2,200, the automobile repairs and maintenance? Try to
Not
break
necessarily,
some of
that's a
that out.
different thing. We were allocating that pretty close to accurate.
Right.
But to the individual department?
Correct.
Okay.
And I know you have some questions
I
about that.
do. I mean, I don't think it's enough, but
Yeah.
that's okay. That may not be a question you guys answer. I may ask Paul to do another historical look, because as you can, I don't want to jump ahead of what you're doing, Logan,
Fix
but.
fire trucks.
Yeah, but, well, yeah, but even on, if you look at 94's number, The actual that we on here was 96,000. We've been 14, we've been 60. We're, you know, picking the middle of 60. I'm not sure that that's enough with the increased costs of repairs and equipment in place too. So maybe we can do a better retrospective.
Yeah, so you're looking at the line
Yes.
375, 2,200 automobile repairs and maintenance?
Correct. I just want to be sure that it's in there, it's adequate to allow for that. I'm just not sure that it's enough, you know, to do it too. But we'll get it. The question to answer that is Paul and those guys to run those numbers from last year.
And before we get too far, globally, just so you know, that I look at that as rock salt. If we have a bad year, we're going to spend it no matter what.
Okay.
We're not going to
Correct.
sit there with a fire truck
Right.
or a police vehicle and say, well, it's November, guys, and we ran out of money, so we're not going to fix it. Sometimes we go over budget in line items, and we just have to do that because that's a part of running a
Well, that'll be
railroad.
the historical assessment and fleet assessment issues as well, so we have a better look at what that's going to mean.
Yes.
Find that out,
That's because
get it in there,
we didn't
so
And
we're
then-
not waiting.
Very good. And then, general, maybe Alex, maybe general question overall, which I should have asked earlier. So the actual, as of like 2025 now, was this until
So,
October 31st, or?
Josie, I think when you look at the YTD, actual 12/31/2025, the mayor's question was, is that November 15th? Is that October 31st? The column that's labeled actual 12/31/2025 is actually a YTD, year-to-date.
Yes.
As of
Yes, it's
today's
year-to-date.
printing of what date?
You pulled that for me today, right?
It would be as of today, because it's, the period that you're looking at is 12/31/25 in the heading. So that'll take everything up until today.
Okay.
Roughly speaking.
So we're about,
Yeah.
Today.
so we're about 6 weeks short of the full year.
That's a way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we're on automobile repair and maintenance, that was your question? Or
No, I
not?
was just worried about, I was just curious about the dates in general, about.
But that was the question of Eric. He was concerned right off the bat that we, at 60,000, if that's what we're looking at, maybe under budgeting.
Yeah, because the numbers moved all over the place for the,
They do.
they do, you know, the years. And again, it's going to get paid, you know, to fit that too. But we'll need a better look back.
Sorry.
All right. Fire chiefs, welcome. You don't need to reintroduce
Thank you for
yourselves.
having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Okay. Chief, please. Sorry.
So just looking through the 2,200 fire suppression budget here, the only thing that we've requested an increase on was the 411,242, the fire suppression expense. In 2025, we had $10,000 listed in there. We've requested an additional $10,500 for a total of $20,500. Overall, there were no other requests. We kept everything as it was, same amounts, because so far it works. Overall, that's a 1.8% increase that we're asking for. Within that line item, our request, our reason for that requested increase is that we need assistance in buying PPE. We need basic safety PPE that we use each and every single day, and we need help with that. Our costs increase every year, we understand that, but in order to help outfit our members, we're requesting some additional assistance from the municipality, so that's why that increase of $10,500 is there.
Can I just ask you?
Yes.
What specific PPE you're talking about?
So,
Yeah.
so anything like coats, pants, boots,
Yeah.
gloves, safety glasses, any
I've seen that.
helmets, anything related that our people wear each and every day going out the door, so.
And what you just described there, is that everything that comes out of that line, or are there other things that come out of that line item?
No, generally, that's been, this was added, I believe, Josie, this year, is that correct? The fire suppression expense?
Yeah,
I
I
believe it was a-
forget, we kind of renamed it from something else, was
Yeah,
it?
so like.
Road maintenance or something like that?
Yeah, but basically, we had a line item that we weren't using, we kind of reappropriated it, and we put it towards this, and for example, this year, we utilized it to purchase helmets, so each station was awarded a number of helmets to outfit their personnel to replace expiring equipment, so.
Has there been a decrease? There certainly hasn't been any increase. A lot of times PPE can be something that's funded also from the state. from foreign fire relief money, but that is not what it used to be, correct?
No. You might see on there, I believe Josie put the updated number in there. It went up a couple,
The fire relief money?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was at 186, it went up to 193. I can tell you that we've already exhausted all that money.
And that's-
We've
and that's-
purchased gear with it, we paid for additional supplemental insurances for our members. Pretty much everything that we've had thus far, it's just poof in the.
Just as the annual reminder to the people that are watching, I know you guys all know, and that's really a pass-through. You know, we act as the fiduciary for that, but that money is restricted in what it can be used for
Correct.
by state statute, actually. It does include PPE, communications, training, frequently. But again, it's down, I mean, it's been higher than this in the past, where we've been able to fund large numbers of people. It's just not, the costs are running off. I mean, the helmet is what now we spent,
Helmet's about $500. now.
right? So when you look at that, it's, that when a guy gets off, a firefighter gets off the apparatus, they're generally speaking close to $10,000. If they're wearing their air packets, even more, $8,000 to $10,000 per person getting off of the apparatus and what it is that they're wearing in the PPE. So that might explain a little bit more, Dennis, to put out there. It's gotten more expensive instead of less.
Honestly, I just wanted to say.
Yeah.
Equipment, it's safety equipment, so.
Yeah, right.
It's ridiculously expensive.
It is very expensive, but also the trend that's going now, you're gonna times that by 2.
Yeah.
Okay, every fire you go to, you have to take that back, wash it, and stack them with a new set of gear, or that person's out of service. They're even talking, each time we go in a building, that we're switching out our Nomaxes to start the cancer prevention to the neck. Okay, so each time a guy goes in, we have to have 2 hoods for them. Okay, so that they can switch out one dirty hood for one clean hood. And they're just expensive.
I think that trend also, Corey, correct me if I'm wrong, this has been a 10 to 15-year trend in the industry on the cancer and the fire service
Yeah.
study that has been,
It's growing, and there's more from clean trucks to, it's just growing. I don't know how far it's gonna go, where it's gonna end. Insurances are covering some,
not enough.
but some is falling back on us at making sure that it's there for them.
Well, that's a small change, small modification, small ask, and
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has a problem with it.
One thing to note, I'm excited about, these guys have done a yeoman's work on it, is we're gonna be doing a new agreement. And hopefully, this year, while it's really steady state, they're probably the lowest change budget is related to other budgets. You know, we might address some of these things more appropriately in the next 5 years. You know, we do in the 5-year agreement talk about the capital expenditures, but there could be, some of these things are more clearly addressed in the 5 years. So we kind of got sidetracked a little bit. We had an incident, and it was the night of a meeting that we were scheduled to have, and God willing, a full recovery can be made, but of a person who was involved in an incident for us, that we'll be back on track soon, and these guys have given us a red line of the 5-year agreement, and stay tuned for that.
Okay.
If I can jump in too real quick, the chiefs have done a really great job at like exploring other options for funding as well. We've been working really well together with researching grants, and we put in the local shares account grant, and I did hear back from the state recently that they were interested in funding it, but just due to the shutdown and, you know, the issues with the state budget, they might not make those announcements till closer to September. But we do continue to explore those options together.
well, again, I think we talked about that, MK, as you came on, and I was glad to hear the most recent grant that you had helped, you know, everybody to coordinate to do that too. But if there's a possibility in the future that there's matching grants, I don't know where we would potentially put that funding. So if we're, you know, an 80-70 type match in something, a Keystone grant or one of those other ones that we go to, and you're helping to coordinate all the rest of the municipal grants, which is a great idea. I think you're getting a grants committee together, right? Okay, to do that. If you find it, gentlemen, take it to her, so that we can look if there's an 80% match, 70%, 50, whatever, we can get that find the money, get it into the grant, you know, into the budget, so we know it's there, because it's not getting cheaper. It's getting more dangerous. So that's an important piece of the grant funding too, that was new this year. You guys pulled that, gave it to her, so you don't have to go fight for it yourself. It's one less thing off of your shoulders.
Hey, answer me a question now, just a general idea. How many years' experience are standing up there right now? Any idea?
Wow, we're gonna date
Yeah, that's
ourselves.
a tough one. We're not good at math.
I used to have hair, so that was one thing to do that. Corey did.
Corey, you first.
Yeah.
Corey, go first.
Well, I want to personally thank you fellas for your volunteer to municipality. And for the public, you can always support our volunteer fire companies any time of the year. Send your check to 2700 Monroeville Boulevard and just mark the company that you want it to go to, and we'll see that it gets there. But they need your help. They need volunteers, especially young people graduating high school, don't know what to do this summer. Go visit one of the volunteer fire companies, and they'll be glad to show you around. And never know, it might spark a career for you. Thanks again, fellows.
Thank you, Bob.
Well said, Mr. Williams.
Any other questions on 2200 fire suppression?
Nope.
Moving right along. 2400 emergency medical services. Again, trying to keep consistent with the theme here. Everything's been working pretty well for us. We had one line item, 412520, that we had requested an increase in. That was the ambulance contributions. So this is, I'm gonna try and explain this as best I can here. So, as you see, we asked for a proposed $65,000 increase in that line item, which is overall an 18.9% increase. Our reasoning for that is our EMS service is growing each and every day. It is running off of the rails. We have to hire more people, we have to pay more people, we have to invest in our people more in order to keep them here in Monroeville. We, as the Fire Chiefs Committee, can confidently say that there are not many services out there that can do what we do. We constantly keep the municipality staffed. A lot of times, we're getting summoned to outside of Monroeville, but very, very, very rarely are outside of Monroeville units coming into Monroeville. So we do an excellent job at keeping our town staffed. You know, as the old saying goes, if you want to run the railroad, you got to pay to run the railroad. And this contribution helps greatly towards that.
I still don't think it's enough, but that's beside the point.
You know. So,
Well, I mean, to your point, Logan, I mean, one of the key questions to tell the troops here too is how many full-time career people are there that run through EMS through all of the companies? Do we have now? Last time you looked?
so full-time employee-wise, we're looking at, we're in the area of 20-some, mid-20, no.
But you're budgeting also for like 24 to 26 to cover
Right,
some of
yeah,
that?
it averages because again, sometimes we have some holes, but, that's anticipated on rising, you know, each and every day.
We changed and tweaked, like my station,
Sure.
3 days a week, I have 2 trucks on. Or they now drop down to 1 truck that's ALS, and then a truck that's BLS.
And a lot of the staffing stuff too, and again, Bob, you know, we talk about volunteer and stuff too, but from a regulatory standpoint, they can't do that from an EMS perspective, you know, to do that.
We
to
do,
continue to-
we have, and I have probably out of my station 5 volunteer EMS staffing. And they selected that. They selected, they did not want paid, they want to volunteer. So that's open, but it's rare. It is very rare. Most are on the paid staff.
And the operational tempo's done nothing but
Right.
increase. Where were we at would we close last year? Somebody, 84, 8,500, 30 to 32
We're pushing in the area of,
per day?
like 9,000, 10,000 calls total in the municipality.
So close to 35 calls per day that's ongoing for EMS.
This
requests.
year, we're waiting to see where it lands, but
We've
we're already
all
breaking
increased.
records, so.
Does each station individually pay their employees?
Correct,
Yes.
yep.
And then on
Administratively,
call-
it's one chunk, but yeah.
But then as far as payment, because you get insurance reimbursement, does that get divided equally based on which call was run?
So each station bills individually, so it,
Okay, so that answers my question.
Yeah, but-
You individually, each station individually bills, and they also individually pay their full-time employees?
correct,
Yes.
yeah. But the insurance payments aren't covering, it's not covering it as much as we need it to be, so.
Oh, no, I wasn't suggesting that.
Yeah, is your, you understand, so.
Very well aware of it, yeah.
With the government shut, it hit us about 65%.
Say that again, Corey, please.
With the government shutdown.
Okay.
That hit us about 65%.
So during the period of the 45 or whatever
Until
day.
it opens back up, and then.
And that's not the state,
Medicaid,
that's the Fed.
Medicare comes
Talking
back
about the
into
federal
play.
shutdown, not the state not being able to
Yeah,
pass a
just-
budget. Did you have impact because of the state?
It's hard to track, I'll be honest, because how our payments come.
Yeah.
So, with Medicaid and Medicare, we just did a rough estimate how far this is gonna hit us if the shutdown happens, and that's what we went
Well, the
on.
last
You'll still get
shutdown,
reimbursed those.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna come
It'll
back.
be-
They're gonna,
yeah.
they're turning that back on, so, but I mean, for that timeline,
So you had to have a fund balance to absorb.
we just had to watch real close,
Okay.
so you didn't fall off that mountain. I mean, the payment plan with our insurances and that is very unscheduled, okay? I mean, and like even our billing, when we bill and we go to court a lot to go after the money. And that's normally the money that the individual was paid by the insurance, that they kept the check, okay?
Yeah, there's the
And then
date
we
that-
have to go and go after that.
Just to add to that, Corey, because I've been, as you guys know, and I don't know, just the council, but I've made this a Boroughs Association and ALOM issue that we worked with the Allegheny County EMS chiefs on this past year. To do that, we, as a group, presented to both the state elected officials to pull them together. I was part of that with the chiefs, and then they in turn helped me with elected officials in Allegheny County. And so that group left one thing that there was about 103% increase in state reimbursement on behalf of Medicare this year. However, the estimate was it really, to make it at a break even for delivery costs, really needed to be close to a 300%. The state legislature, oh, look, we got you 103%. Yeah, it's still not getting there. So it's still roughly costing about over 583 was the number they used. It may be a little bit less for us, for this portion of it, to put an ambulance to your door. It's not and they're not getting that part of the reimbursement too. So we're still where were we in reimbursement? 70-some odd % of reimbursable costs? You know, to.
Eric, am I wrong? Wasn't there legislation that they were supposed to send, that they were gonna, insurance companies were gonna send the checks
Yep.
directly to?
Didn't make it in the last
Didn't,
session.
okay.
I mean, we called them on that in those same meetings, and I think we did last February, and I'm going to happen to bring it up again in February to them, as well, too. So we're still trying to lobby on that behalf.
Which, it's unbelievable that's even a thing, and you said it, but I'm gonna repeat it so people
Yeah.
understand.
It's
So,
unbelievable.
and most people, you go to your doctor or the hospital, you have health insurance, it's good health insurance, you have receive service, your insurance pays the hospital or the doctor's office. What happens often with ambulance is the insurance company sends the money to the actual patient, which I don't understand how that was even, why that even started that way. When I started earlier in my career, that would happen for private offices as well. Patients would get the checks and they would think they got money from Blue Cross and they would cash it, and then you would have to fight to get it. And so I don't understand why.
It was the same reason, because a lot of those entities were not readily recognized as a CMS provider. And I'm talking about 30-plus, 40 years ago. I mean, this is still the trickle down of the
But it's
problem.
2025, so I understand the challenge that you guys have, because certainly somebody, and you might be getting somebody from not around here, from a distance, and
Oh, no,
good luck
around
chasing that money.
It's
You're
around
also
here, too.
responding, you're responding to whoever calls. Right. So, and they don't have to have health insurance to call. They don't have to have a home to call. They could be sleeping in the bathroom with sheets and we get called.
Certainly.
So there's a lot of calls you might take that there might not be anybody to bill. Or there's no insurance company to bill, you're billing the patient where that goes. Then that's where they're hunting them down through going to court to try to get that money.
Or
So
Medicaid.
there's a lot of variables out there that affect us. So you might run 4 calls a day that, there's no billing for it, because, they don't have.
And the Medicaid reimbursement went up a little bit, but
A little bit, but nothing
like
substantial.
250, 275, something, our median number for Monroeville.
Yeah, something in that area.
So that's
I
still
just-
not meeting the cost of putting the ambulance that we talked about to the front door.
And if we could just circle back to
Closely.
what started this, Chief, so the line item we're talking about, the ambulance contribution, so that amount you were asking, so how, is that divvied up to each individual station, or is it based on volume or vehicles, or how do you work that?
So we break it down by vehicle. There's 9 ambulances in town, and we divide that money per truck. So basically, each station, it's broken up per truck. So giving us this proposed 65,000 increase would even numbers out. We did receive an increase in 2025. However, it's made a little bit uneven, and then as costs have gone up, I just want to correct my earlier statement. We're Monroeville EMS as a whole, fully staffed, we could be close to 40 full-time employees. We're sitting in like the 30s, between the 20s and 30s. Again, we have, some people move on. Unfortunately, we're still battling that, if somebody gets a dime extra down the road, they're going to go. We've had to, increase our salaries. We've had to increase number of crews that we put on. So it's, as we increase this, as our call volume increases and we increase, as Chief Ramsey said, he's now putting 2 crews on. At Station 4, we're to the point that we're ready to put 3 crews on, and we have put 3 crews on just to keep up with the volume during the day, during peak hours. So this increase, this proposed increase would benefit us greatly to help keep those extra numbers, keep getting people in the door, make it the job advertising better for people to come work for Monroeville and take care of those in Monroeville.
Very good. Anything else about this budget?
We just want to say thank you for your support. We greatly appreciate it and really appreciate your time.
Well, we really appreciate, what you guys do and all the rank and file, what they do for the community. It's really an unbelievable service that you guys provide for the residents. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I can't say enough. I mean, these guys know it, and everyone here knows it on the elected side. Back to the fire, it's about 1.4% of the budget. If we had the Swissvale or Mount Lebanon model, we'd talk about a $7 or $6 million budget for you all. If we had the Ross Township contributions for volunteer, which are approximately 50% higher than our per capita contributions per volunteer, you do the math. So you're the best deal money can buy, and I say that you're head and shoulders over what Ross and other volunteers, do in other communities. The genius of your system is really back onto the EMS side by having that as a combined system, whereas I believe Ross, their ambulance is provided by a more regional grouping. And most communities, whether it's the Woodland Hills EMS or some of our neighbors, they have that as a separate. And what you guys have done long ago was say, let's kind of keep these together. You absorb as employers those full-time employees and all the costs of those. For the most part, we're trying our part, but it's not, quite frankly, maybe enough even combined. But the genius is you're a great deal. Like, the reason it's so low, but it's not sustainable, and everyone here knows about it. And I'll say what nobody's going to want to say, which is we're going to have to think about in the future a fire tax. And what we're able to do in Pennsylvania is have a tax that isn't about moving shells within us to make us look good. It's about to really fully fund fire in this community. Again, we're talking about a $5 to $7 million cost if we went to some hybrid model of paid professionals and volunteers. And if we went full-on professional, it'd probably closer to $10 million. We're a $40 million budget, right? So no one is saying we're doing that. No one is saying we're getting there soon. But to be sustainable, $500,000, $580,000 is what your budget is this year on the fire EMS side. 413, that's less than $1 million. And I love the library and I love the senior center, but you guys can look at those pages.
You know,
You can see the difference of what you do. This is essential service, not that those aren't important services. This is essential, straight in the arrow mission of what we do here. So thank you for that. I know you know all that. These guys all know that. Maybe the public at home doesn't realize how much we get for the Monroeville 5 fire departments. It's a lot.
Well, thank you, Manager. We appreciate it. You know, and even with the proposed 2026 increases in the operating budget, we're still sitting around 994,000. With emergency medical services and fire suppression added together, that's about where we're sitting, so.
And how many calls again do you do a year?
We're gonna be probably over 9,000 this year. Maybe, I might even be pushing 10.
Is that one side of the house or combined?
That's combined, that's all 5 stations in Monroeville, that's including EMS, that's the
We've all
whole kit and caboodle,
Yeah.
yeah. We're all, just keeps going up every day.
And that's important, right? Because we preached, I think, the golden hour. We preached, hey, if you feel something, don't drive yourself to the hospital, like, and put your loved one in a bad situation because on the way you're having a problem. We don't want anyone to not use your service. We think that's a good public education thing, that people use you, because you never know where this is gonna end up. Better be safe than sorry. We have great ambulance service. We have unbelievable hospitals here, Trauma 2 Center, I guess, right below the level 1 trauma. So use you, and that's where the call volumes are increasing, because people are listening to that message and taking it seriously when they feel something, and that's good. But it's putting pressure on the system.
Sure is.
Well, you know, EMS, I started in 1991. Yeah, I think all you were born then. So, and Company 1 had 1 full-time employee, and it was 9 to 5. You know, and now we have to have full-time employees around the clock, every day. So that's a long course of time, and I understand that. But that's how things have gone, and it's just, we went from 1 person, 9 to 5, to, and it was only, I think about 7 years ago, 5 to 7 years ago, when we started hiring full-time employees. We had a lot of casual part-time employees, and it's gone to, we just have to have full-time employees, so that tax on benefits, you know, which entices people to come in, but the pay is difficult. I mean, you can go Ross Westview, you can go work there and maybe make more money, or there's a lot of services around. And we pay, I think, fairly competitively, and it's difficult to do that. So, you know, the struggle's real, and no one wants to call, you know, 856-1111. I like using that number a little bit better than 911. Doesn't go to the county and then back to us. But when you call that number, you're not looking to hear like, yeah, sorry, they're volunteers. They might make it tonight. You know, that's not the anticipation. The anticipation is I call, I get fire or EMS. What am I calling for? I was on a call a couple weeks ago at 5 in the morning, and it was near an ambulance service around here. It wasn't in Monroeville, it was outside Monroeville. And the patient and their family furious because you can almost see the ambulance service. But they were tied up on a call somewhere else too. You know, and EMS everywhere is just taxed to the max for whatever the reason. You know, this patient was pretty sick, and you know they don't care that there's a service right there, and I'm getting a Monroeville person. So think about that. One thing that Logan said is Monroeville's phenomenal. I mean, you call for an ambulance or fire, you're getting it. So, and
Chief, are you saying that the pressure is increasing on us as surrounding services and communities?
oh, absolutely,
countywide.
everywhere.
It's countywide.
Yeah. It's not just
I mean,
Monroeville
it's-
feeling the burn.
I mean, we go to the city of Pittsburgh. 3 calls this year to the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, think about that. I mean, my ambulance got called to Pittsburgh.
So, I mean, we go to Wilkinsburg, you know. Anytime my station's going to Wilkinsburg, I wake up 16 engine. Wake up and go run that for us. Get help there till we get there. So, it's just one of them things. It's throughout the county. It's not an isolated problem. It's a county problem. How that's gonna be fixed throughout the county, I don't know if I'll see it.
I'll say it, and I know no one's gonna like to hear it, but there's no way in America that a 1.2 million person county should do what we do. I happened to be a borough manager at one time of a community that had 3,000 people, but because it had a Parkway East exit, which has 100,000 vehicles on a day, was responsible for all the calls at Rhode Eye Road and the Bend. And
Yeah,
that
we
just
ran
was
that.
absurd. Just absurd. That you wouldn't look at any county in America and say that should be volunteer. That makes sense. You know, that a community of 3,000 is responsible for an interchange of 100,000 drivers and the accidents that happen there. You know the Parkway East, right? The biggest accident situation is at the one side and the other side of the tunnel. And then the third biggest is at Rhode Eye Road.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming to my house when I need you, but years ago, it used to be the funeral homes did what you're doing. And they'd come and cart you off. I guess if you died on the way, you got a new customer.
Before
But I
1955.
appreciate any time you had to come to my house.
That's way before all of us. I'll say that. I'll date myself there.
Yeah,
I
remember
remember
that.
the Cadillac ambulance, but I don't
Yeah.
remember that one.
Hey, I'll tell you what, them Cadillac ambulances rode better than your ambulances. I mean, they're like you're riding in a buckboard. They are really tough.
Well, Mr. Williams, we want you calling 911, not Job's or Coral's.
That's for sure.
Please.
Yeah,
Well, now an ambulance is about $250,000.
yeah. You think they'd better suspension on them?
Thank-
Yeah, there's probably some discussions for state and county level as well, and I know people talk about, you know, our services leaving the community, but, you know, from a humanitarian side, we want to help, you know, help our neighbors, help our, you know, fellow citizens, and, but we just hope that other communities aren't just utilizing us more than what they should, you know, and we'll just have to kind of track that, you know, in the future. But we're going to certainly support Monroeville as much as we can here.
Absolutely.
Council, any other questions for the chiefs? Very good.
Thank you.
Okay,
very
guys.
much.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thanks.
Guys.
Call for a break.
Yep, we're going to take a 5-minute recess for the stenographer, and then we'll be back with the police
Our
department.
presentation.
We are back from recess. This is our budget hearing, our first public budget hearing for the 2026 budget. And we are finishing off the evening with our police chief, Doug Cole. So, welcome, chief.
Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate the opportunity to go over the budget with everybody, and of course, on behalf of the whole police department, we appreciate your insight and the way you budget for the guys. You know, to start things off here, Bob, my first ambulance call when I was a young punk was in a high headroom Cadillac ambulance back in 1976.
Yeah,
So
rode nice,
I've been
didn't
in
it?
I've been in a high headroom Cadillac ambulance. Those Cadillac ambulances did ride better,
Yep.
just as a side note. Yeah, Eric and I just finished up our paramedic in-service that we had to do our mandatory command review. So we'll still be paramedics here for another couple of years.
Be
Just to-
scared.
Just to start off, and by the way, I got water instead of Pepsi, so I'll keep me short for the end of the day here, Mayor. You know, we won't talk as much. I wanted to throw a couple numbers out. I pulled the stats here today, just ran it this morning around 9 o'clock. I ran the call volume for the police department. And as of, compared to 2024, we ran 16,646 calls in 2024 for the whole year. So far this year, we've ran 16,524. I anticipate we run roughly 1,250 to 1,300 calls a month. So you're gonna look that we're gonna be, you can figure that out, we're gonna be in the 18,000 calls this year for service. The uptick of that has been the services that we provide. Certainly, we did add the K-9 units this year, so we picked up a few calls there. I just think it's been the call volume in general that's coming through the town. You know, we've done that with an allotment, at least a budgeted allotment of 49 officers. As you know, we've also talked about, you know, earlier, and talked obviously through our budget system, we have currently 6 officers off on some type of long or short-term disability. So that's certainly impacted our overtime budget. In addition, when you look at the budget lines with the overtime, I mean, what caught me, I just put together numbers, Alex, and I don't remember you telling me that you were gonna throw the other post-employment benefits, the OPEB benefits in the line items, but that's 1.295, so it's almost $1.3 million added to the budget line of the actual budget itself in all the divisions I have. 49 officers, there's on top of that, 9 full-time dispatchers, a couple part-time there, that varies a little bit. Civilian employees, we have Michelle, obviously administrative assistant behind me, and we have an IT person that Tina talked about earlier, And we have a vehicle maintenance individual that's considered under our support services, which we'll get to. In addition, I think, and if I'm looking correctly, had some discussion at our meeting, Alex, whether we were going to put the commander position, leave it in the patrol, or put it into the administration. I'm not sure. By looking at this now, because of the way the budget's, I think it looks like it's in the admin, so,
Yeah,
you know,
so
it's in admin.
You may be familiar with this, but Chief, yeah, we went ahead under admin, I apologize, I just got to get to the spreadsheet so I can see it. So what we did for your admin was put chief, chief secretary, commander, and the civilian personnel that we discussed, it's a vacant, so we budgeted for 2026 to have the civilian there as well. So within that salary family would be 2026, 4 FTEs, full-time equivalents.
Okay, so you added an extra, because the only one that was in there previously was myself and Michelle. So, okay, I understand that now. So that makes sense with the budget, why the increase there. Civilian employee, we talked about having another civilian employee for the window, because we moved the dispatch center up here to the second floor, up to the main floor, I should say, as part of our real-time crime center that got started here actually really this week. We finally had 4 or 5 people working in there. It looked a lot better today. Instead of just the 2 dispatchers, space being used appropriately. So we really appreciate council's insight. And again, to you, Bill, your insight for the admin side of that, or the intel side of that, excuse me. It's kind of funny too, just by ironic. Happened today. Joe Sedlak gets a call, says the FBI it wants to know if you work here or not. They're finally going to give me my security clearance back. It was just like, I'm thinking, why would the FBI? I applied for that like 2 years ago. You know, it was a renewal for the previous. So just a side note there. Kind of caught me when Joe said, hey, the FBI is looking for you. I said, I wonder what I did. All right, well, I didn't do anything. So that intel is going to be a great thing. That's going to be a good thing for the community joint project with the district attorney's office. So again, thanks. Any questions on?
Just one thing on staffing. We also anticipate starting a new civil service list next year. And this budget has the addition of 1 additional patrol officer. Now, as you mentioned before, there are some who are off work right now.
Yeah,
Some of those may find their way back to work, or there are some who may not, just
Yeah,
because they are
we'll
on
trish them
permanent
up.
disability or go into retirement. So
Absolutely.
that's also built into the budget, that position. And by moving the commander, the lieutenant to commander, really creates a bit of void in patrol. And that's another reason why we really need to have that new hire within patrol to cover, hours. But we struggled, right? I mean, ideally, we could use a few more patrol officers in the right size, but we've been trying to, over the last 2 years, the council has approved bringing on some more people, so we've kind of increased from like 44 to 46 to 47.
Well, absolutely. No, I'm quite, I mean, obviously I'd like more, but 50 seems very fair. And that seems to be what we've been struggling to get to, so we're gonna be getting to 50 officers. Yes, we've advertised, the testing will be in December. We're moving with a civil service list for new hires. That's our goal. It won't get done till probably the first quarter. Well, it could be done as early as late January, early February next year of a list.
And then once that's, the testing occurs, what's the time frame?
Well, if they have Act 120, we can hire almost immediately, if they have the training, if they have the police training. If we have to send them to the academy, we're gonna have to wait till July. They'll delay it a little bit, because the academy class doesn't start till July.
Okay.
Again, you don't have to have the academy. There's a good chance, we're getting applications now already.
As far as the testing, physical, background, all those.
Yeah, we're
things
hoping to
need-
get that done within a 2 to 3 month period. Because we're speeding it up by the fact that we're giving the physical agility first. The Civil Service Commission approved it, and giving the very next afternoon, well, same afternoon, actually. Morning, we're gonna be, you pass the physical agility run and push-ups and all the stuff we have to do to get into the academy. We do the basic physical agility that people would need to get into the police academy, whether you have the academy or not. You pass that afternoon, you're gonna take the written test. We'll have those tests scored within a week, and we'll be ready to do the oral interviews, move right along. It's gonna be quicker than it was last time.
Good. And then the 50 officers, is that the question always becomes like overtime versus salaried officers. Is 50 like a a reasonable spot to be in where it's more affordable versus overtime, or what's that?
It's always a balancing act, Mayor, as you well aware. It all depends on the people that are off. It depends on how much overtime's available. We try to keep a staffing well, we do. We have a minimum staffing of really 5 officers on 24/7, 4 and a supervisor. But on second shift, we have 5 and a supervisor because it's a busier shift. And we have the evenings, Fridays and Saturdays, the overnights, the 3 to 11, or 11 to 7, excuse me, the midnight shift has an extra guy on too. So staffing's always something that's a balancing act between call volume. I'll look again here because it looks like we're going to be at 18,000. That's an increase of probably close to 2,000 calls than we had from last year. That dramatic increase. It's probably more like about 1,600 to 1,800 calls. You know, we're going to see where that's happening and where that's occurring. You know, throw some other quick numbers at you. Just put some of it. Like you see here is our traffic stops, which is having having some type of just visibility, if nothing else. 2,435 traffic stops so far this year. So that was we only had about 2,400 last year, so that's going to be up too. So you're seeing more, professional traffic stop having that visibility is just a way to hopefully do prevention, which is what we're trying to do. I can certainly tell you, though, we've already had more prisoners housed in our cells. We're over 450 downstairs now. That's the same we had last year, so that's going to be up too.
And not that this group maybe needs to hear this, but I want to, for the public's sake, to understand. Traffic stops have never been a moneymaker for local government. It is extremely costly to put an officer out there to make a stop, and if it has to go to court, to file it through. A lot of residents will say, the speed trap's a moneymaker for those in such and such borough and such community. That is the most misspoken falsehood out there. There's nothing close to it. We get a fraction of the ticketed amount.
We get half the fine. Fines are usually between $25 and $35. We get, $12.50. So we
Okay,
get. Everything
but-
else is court cost.
But the larger fines are much less, when you look at the percentage. We just get pennies on it, right?
Pennies,
So
absolutely.
And then officers going to court.
Out of $100, some citation, a normal stop sign violation, we end up getting $12.50.
And the fact is, the signs are are ubiquitous. The streets are well posted. It's not a suggested minimum. It's a speed limit. The stop means stop. Yield means yield. Green means go. Yellow means slow. And red means stop. These are violators of the law. We're not pulling over, Sunday drivers, so to speak, just taking their time. And the fact is, thousands of people are killed in Pennsylvania. 40,000 Americans die. Hundreds of thousands are maimed and injured. All these ambulance calls and fire calls are the result of bad drivers, distracted drivers, drunk drivers, and speeding drivers and aggressive drivers. And all we're trying to do is just get people to obey the law. We're not making money off traffic stops. If he quadrupled traffic stops, we'd still be not even near making money is an absurdity. It just doesn't happen. So I can't stress that enough. I hear people feel like we're trying to do traffic control to make money. No, we're trying to get traffic control to keep people from killing each other.
The number of people actually cited is far less than the number of people stopped.
That's absolutely correct, too. My philosophy on traffic enforcement is a good traffic stop that's a professional stop and prevents a problem is more important than writing somebody a ticket. And I think that's pretty well known in the department. Our idea is we target them at places where we have bad accidents, we've had fatalities, those roadways, we get complaints in neighborhoods. The vast majority of us, when you see us doing traffic in local neighborhoods, is because we've got complaints there. And we document all that. So, certainly traffic is important here in Monroeville. I was just looking real quickly to give you rough numbers. 1,800 to 2,000 crash reports or crash events we run a year in this town. Of that, roughly 350 to 400 are reportable, which means there's towing or injuries. And of that reportable group, roughly 170 have injuries, 150 to 170. I'm just giving you yearly numbers. And we average 1 fatality a year. A bad year, we can be up to have 3 or 4 people killed on our roadways. Luckily, we haven't had that in a few years. And pedestrians now are becoming more of an issue. That's true of distracted driving, where the vehicles now become so much safer because of airbags and engineering designs of vehicles and even roadways. But the pedestrian on the road still loses every time the 2,000-pound automobile. So, one year we had 4 pedestrian fatalities. That was unheard of in the history of the municipality. That was like 4 years ago.
I shared with you an article recently, the city of Helsinki had 0 deaths
zero
in a
deaths.
year. That was according to Forbes, which is one of the American newspapers reported. Many communities have adopted Vision Zero as a goal.
Yep.
We don't want fatalities on our roads. We
Absolutely.
want safe roads, and we're in the road owning business. And a cost of that is enforcement. And thankfully, it is a lot of times just a warning or a caution. That everybody, we all are guilty of this. It's the other people on the road who are bad drivers. I've never met a bad driver who admitted to be such. Everybody's like, boy, when the knuckleheads I saw out there today. And I think to myself, if we're all saying that, then who's the good driver? And maybe we're the knucklehead. And I'm also in that group. So it's please be safe, obey the signs, don't violate them. If you do, our fine Monroeville PD might be pulling you over.
Absolutely. Like to have the visibility.
Visibility is a
Absolutely.
tremendous amount of value in that, absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right, Chief?
I guess the next one after 2105, which was Administration Police Chief, is Emergency Communications 2110. Pretty close. They pretty much actually went down a little bit compared to last year, at least what's budget last year. Certainly, it has the overtime and again, with that division has been, problematic. We have a person there also on some short-term disability at the moment, a full-time employee. And then we certainly are, looking to hire and keep 9 full-time employees in that position with a couple part-times helping us out. The big one, obviously, is the patrol division, the next one down, 2120, it's the next page, it'll be page 16. Goes over to page 17. Saw some increases a little bit, I think, in our contract services was something we discussed quite a bit, Alex, about. We've decided, at least I've decided at this point, think the best course of action, it may be, we may even have it listed as capital, is we'll stay in the same TASER platform that we currently have now for another year. We're able to get the parts that we need, even though it's at their end of the useful life. When we get into our TASER, I mean, certainly the TASERs are our best, less lethal that we've ever seen. We use them about between, we've been as high as 6 or 7. We're probably in that 4 to 8 category every year. We have to do a deployment of some type. The new TASERs coming out are gonna be more of an operating thing, just like our body cameras are, because of the way that technology changes every 5 years, and it's just been continuous having to do, we'll put it into the operating side of it. So at this point, that was a big budget line that we were gonna hold off on for next year. It's not in the operating budget, which is good, but contracted services are our body cameras are part of that, our in-car cameras, our interview room cameras that are all stored on the cloud. Some of this has some IT stuff that Tina helps with us, replacing the computers that we use continuously. I was just with a Panasonic rep today at a chief's meeting, and they're talking about, they're trying to do the same thing where they want to get us into a reoccurring 5-6 year. You know what your fee is going to be every year to have computers in your vehicles. We may be doing something like that. Everybody understands we have the computers in the cars. They give us a lot of data. They're just getting more robust. They work in conjunction with our license plate readers in the future. We're going to hopefully get more technology to them, whether they get them from drones or wherever we end up getting them from. So that's our goal, certainly from our real-time crime center. So the computers are necessary. That's all in the operating budget.
Okay.
On to Detective Division. And I was trying to give you numbers. If the commander's with me, there's 30 going to be, with hiring one more, there'll be 39. Let me make sure I got this right. No, there will be 40 still in
Patrol.
there'll be 30. There'll be 5 in detectives, 2 in special operations, 2 in administration. That's 9. There'll be 41 people in patrol with the hiring. So that budget shows, the patrol budget shows 41 officers. My goal's always been trying to keep 37-ish, anywhere really as low as 35. We've gone lower, 35 to 39 to 40. We're going to be a little high in that in the patrol budget, covering 3 shifts, 24/7. So we can keep staffing, keep it up and let guys take leave and not get into or be in court. They're off duty when they're down in the courthouse. And of course, making more arrests, there's more court time. That whole thing it just perpetuates itself and continues on. So our goal is to try to keep, we'll be heavily staffed if we're at 41 in the patrol division. That's a good thing. So and again, I was going back to the detective division. That's 5 officers there. The overtime there, the thing to do is you have to also look at the reimbursed. I believe well over 50% of the overtime in the detective division is reimbursed overtime. The vast majority of their overtime, it may be even higher than that, maybe as close to 65%. The vast majority of the overtime in that division is paid for by either the federal government or it's paid for by the state government. Well, I guess even the county too, because we're part of DayNet too. We're part of 3 major task forces, Pennsylvania Attorney General's office, DayNet, they are now working together. And then, of course, we call them OCDEFs, they're Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Forces, which can be DEA, FBI, and even in some cases, ATF and ICE, immigration. So, we get case-specific overtime that they budget for and our guys get access to.
And that is just overtime. They don't reimburse for anything during.
No, they don't, but they reimburse an overtime credit that's more. Hey, Michelle, we charge them the same as we're charging.
No, their overtime does include all their benefits
Yes.
and everything.
There's a benefit
Chief, you can just
package.
repeat that for the microphone.
Yeah, we have two different rates, but with the feds, it includes a hourly rate, which is time and a half their overtime, plus it's got a healthcare benefit, workman's comp, they pay a
cover
I think
all
it's
of that. They
somewhere,
reimburse all of
but they
that.
don't pay for like gasoline and the use of our vehicles when we're involved in it. We eat that. But any type of extra expenses, i.e. where the real issue is, when we get in some of these cases, we'll go out, we'll flash, $50,000, $100,000. They provide, we call the buy money. They provide the flash money. That's all done by them. So it's not uncommon for that to
Chief,
happen.
the other benefit, though, is people should understand is we're getting manpower for free from the FBI, the AG's office, and whoever it is that we're working with on those task forces.
Correct. It's not just us doing it. We're assisting in their action.
And the other thing it does, man, good point, Bill. Another thing it does is it provides us with asset seizure money. Federal asset seizure money, the way it works is the state and the county, their money goes to them. We don't get any of that, but when it's with the feds, we can apply for that and they'll give us a percentage of that. And one of the things we were able to do was purchase vehicles for the detective division out of that fund. It didn't cost the Monroeville taxpayer. Monroeville, I mean, it's seized money. It's actually seized drug profits. So we were able to purchase those cars out of that account, and we did that last month.
And all that being said, we definitely have a long history of working with all the outside agencies. And that's something we will always do. We will always, the Monroeville Police Department will always, well, as long as I'm mayor, for another month at least, so 6 more weeks. And this council supported that, this
They
whole
have
time, that
always.
we will always
Bill brought up a
cooperate with all federal, state agencies that want to
Absolutely.
come into Monroeville. We're gonna help them out and,
I think it makes the community safer because you
Absolutely.
get their resources, but in addition.
Makes the country safer,
It
too.
also, I think so too. It also, what it does though, if there's an operation going on that they're involved in, they don't have to notify us. They do notify us because of the relationships we have. So if the FBI wants to come in here and, bring their SWAT team in and take it down a house, they could never call us, but they do. So that makes it safer for everybody involved. So there isn't some blue on blue issue. There isn't some, it just makes it safer for everybody to be part of that. Whether you agree with ICE or not, we don't actively go, but we certainly support them. We're not going to let anybody get hurt, the people that are arresting or the people that are ICE. We're going to be part of making it safer for the whole community, period.
Sure.
So I appreciate the support, and we all do. The police department does too. We know our council's behind us.
Chief,
Yeah.
a portion, certainly not 50 or 65%, but there is a portion of patrol overtime that's reimbursed also.
Yes, there is. One time, Bill, you're well aware that we used to get, over $125,000 a year from the mall for just covering those details down there. So there is a lot of money that's, and a lot of, for a while, the school district's paying us just to cover those. This year, they haven't done too much. We've just covered football games and stuff, which is a normal thing. We help out. We don't do them all like we did before. We help the school police over there, but in the past, we've also then sometimes had to be school police. We had to cover they couldn't get officers, and we could get the officers there. We've been blessed that the guys do work this overtime. A lot of departments are having trouble getting people to do it. They gotta force them to do it. We've been blessed to be able to make that happen. So,
Very good.
okay, so that's the Detective Division. The support services, this is the, make sure I got that. This is the, okay, make sure I'm reading it right here. Yeah, the support services is the IT individual, which is Brian, and it's also Logan. It's our vehicle maintenance, takes care of vehicles. So not much there. Minimal overtime, obviously, there, if any at all. Again, some of the increase you're getting. I guess Dave O'Neill would be getting the benefits. That's why, that's the benefit. I'm not putting him out. He's a retired person out of that.
Will your new clerk go in this division or in
No,
other administration?
Alex put him in admin. We could do that, but I mean, right now it's in admin.
Just from a housekeeping standpoint, as we talked about this with the chief, we're gonna keep, even in the new software environment, the individual department and units, but you need to see the whole picture at some level, and we need to do a better job of like consolidating these, because patrol officers alone, that budget is 25% of the municipal total. If you combine all of these units, then your 40% of the budget is in the straight down the middle of our mission, protecting people and property through police services. So it's not apologetic that we say that, but it is what it is. And sometimes it gets confusing when you see these numbers kind of, so we'll have them micro, like you have now, but we're gonna consolidate and hopefully make it a little better to follow. But yeah, that person's in there, the support person is budgeted in that admin portion that we covered at the beginning.
Great.
And it just has two individuals. You'll notice the next one, the page below it, is the two K-9 individuals who came out of patrol, but support the system, so we have their own little budget, so you can see that.
We wanted to see what that was cost. We put them in Special Operations Division, so that's correct. So out of the patrol division now, of the 49 that we have currently, there's, with the two K-9s, I guess just currently be me, 5, 6, to be only 8. There's gonna be a total of 9 when the commander gets into it.
So Chief, the K-9 officers, certainly a significant portion of their overtime is reimbursed also.
Yes, I mean, certainly they're eligible for all the,
Because of the-
all the OSADF stuff, they're specialty guys. They actually, believe it or not, Bill, they have access to some other overtime that they can get people that's potentially for the K-9. So, yeah, they're gonna be okay with that. They're not gonna, most of their overtime is gonna be reimbursed. And I'm just throwing a number at you. This year, I'm gonna take a better look at that, and we could go back and backtrack it, but the reality is, certainly over 50% of it is reimbursed. And it's probably gonna be closer to 65. I mean, we got inherent overtime with, just people being off and shift shortage. That's what really gets us. And then the back end of that, we have, the holiday pay is actually separate. It's overtime, but it's separate when they're working holidays. So this is the actual, stuff that they're working details, and, we get PennDOT details. We do details at the churches now, the synagogues, the mosques. We do details routinely, still down at the mall. Not as much, but we still do them at the
Well,
mall.
speaking of which, the mall manager asked me if the K-9 officers, especially during the holiday season, could walk through the mall for
Yeah,
some
we'll
reason
make-
once.
sure, absolutely.
I told
Make that
Nicole
happen.
Michelle and asked
Yeah.
her about that.
Yeah. Even if they don't do a detail, Bill, I mean, we got one
Yeah.
working second shift, he can go down there and spend an hour walking through the mall.
That's also just part
Yeah,
of
just a
basic
PR.
patrol. I mean, just
Yeah.
visibility and patrol. Now, speaking of, so are the two K-9s, are they ever part of the shift minimums?
They are not.
They never
Take
count
them out,
towards-
that was one of the things that, there was a lot of discussion on that, Mayor, and, this is all contractual, okay? We discussed keeping them in the patrol division. I had to be convinced, and now I'm more convinced it's probably better to keep them out of the patrol division. I think that's not a bad idea, because that way they can go do certain things. Yeah, the patrol guys, sometimes they're not taking the little reports, but you got them available with just 2. I mean, if we had 4, it'd be a whole different game with just 2. I like them being in their own special division. And in defense to them, they agree to be rescheduled. I mean, like, all the overtime that would have been for them with training is all done on duty. It's done at different times. They move their shifts around. I can tell them, hey, you both got to come out second. They'll both come out second. They've been very cooperative. They've been both, and that's a joint thing. That's a mutual thing between management and labor. But so far, it's been working pretty well.
Good. Now, the size of our, department of our size,
Yeah.
K-9s certainly make sense.
K-9s makes sense, absolutely. So that, they're special operations. Consider that. The school crossing guards, I'm assuming this is not the 50, is this the 50%? Or is this the whole thing and then we still get reimbursed 50%? Well, we have four
We
school.
budget the whole thing.
We budget the whole, that's what I thought. So this is actually only half of what you're looking at. The school district will pay the other half. We have four crossing guards.
I'm sorry, Josie, did you say we budget the whole thing?
I believe so, yeah.
I think it is. I think it's the whole thing. Yeah, it's
So you
some
believe we
50,000.
get half of this back?
It's half that we get back,
Yes, we
absolutely.
get, yes.
It's on the other side of the credit side, as the debits, you know,
Sure.
how they work. So the school crossing guards, historically, I mean, we have one down at Old 22 and Evergreen, or correction, Garden City. And we have one up in Mellon Plan, and then we have,
University Park? University?
one at University Park. We only have three now?
Yeah.
We have three. We only have three now, so that makes sense. We've been trying to attrition them down a little bit just by attrition. The only one, I mean, they all serve a very purpose, but I don't need to tell you, nobody walks to school anymore. They're all driving in, they're getting dropped off. I mean, go to Ramsey. We used to have one at Ramsey. You need a school crossing guard, you need a traffic cop at Ramsey. You know how it backs up on Ramsey in the morning. You don't need and actually, believe it or not, the school police actually go out there and direct traffic, I think, because it gets so backed up. It's a mess getting in there. So, I mean, we try to give them a little bit of training. They have phones that they can call for help. So they've been a blessing, but again, the cost on it's pretty minimal to us. Yeah. And then, fire suppression. Last one's gonna be the training center. I say to everybody, every time we do this, we are blessed to have a training center, and for what it really costs us. Now, I always want to be transparent, because the manager wants us to be transparent. And it's good to note here, this budget of $56,000, $56,500 that we have there, of that, $48,000 of it's reimbursed now. $24,000 from the Forbes that are still going to use us for next year as a training site. They pay $2,000 a month. They do it by quarter anyway. And then we get $2,000 a month for building the tower up there, including free space. So when you look at this event, now, we absorb, not true, the Public Works has employees over there that there's man-hours maintaining it, cleaning it, cutting the grass, doing extra maintenance to it, building some stuff over there, things that we've done. So it's really not the true budget. But the fact that we have a facility that currently has actually 4 buildings, 5 buildings if you call the training tower building. We have a garage classroom, can seat comfortably 80 people with all the AV. We have an auditorium classroom, can seat comfortably 230 people with all the AV. We have an indoor shoot house, 2-story training facility with gym facilities and office rooms and even showers, and even the capability of having firearm simulators in that building. And then we have 2 outdoor ranges, one being a NRA pistol/rifle range, and one being a long rifle sniper range. And we do that for what, $15,000 a year, including the gas, electricity, water. I mean, Michelle and I do the scheduling, Public Works does the cleaning. That's a pretty good bargain. That's an unbelievable bargain, actually. So, we're blessed to have that.
So just for council's edification, on page 155, there's a narrative that helps explain a little bit of the Public Safety Training Center. One of the things we're trying to do for council and for the public is to go into greater detail of what exactly goes on there. And the chief has done a great job of helping us, particularly MK, put together this narrative. So expect these to hopefully improve and change and ask questions. What happens at the Public Safety Training Center should be answered in these couple pages, and including how does revenue help offset expenses? And the relationship, as he mentioned, between the Public Works Services. Mike Strom and his crew did an amazing job just recently.
Outstanding job. Even when they build up the new evidence
evidence
storage,
garage.
that was unbelievable. I mean, we've done a good job there, Alex. We
So,
really have.
so there's a lot of hands that are going in here, and sometimes the spreadsheet just doesn't give you what's going on here. We're trying to also, for some of you guys are number guys, other people need to see it written down, and we're trying to, with these narratives, do that. Now, the final budget document will be pushing them together. It's a matter of working that through a system, but I want you to also look at these. These are, a lot of effort has gone to these. MK's done an amazing job with the department heads and putting time in to help you understand what is the Safety Training Center and why do we have it? Well, we're trying to answer that question.
And one of the other things that we do the old barter system, put things in perspective. We put classes on down there, nationally renowned class, i.e. the TASER class. A normal instruction class is 2-day instruction, $600 plus per student. We give them the facility, pay we'll say $50, not even that's probably $15 or $20 in water and electricity, and we get three free spots. And so we get $1,800 of training for really the cost of turning the
And the
lights on.
highlight for me in 2025 was when Crut and I and a couple other civilian employees got to take part in hostage training.
Yep,
We had to
hostage
pretend
training.
we were taken hostage, and negotiators had no idea what the scenarios were. And these were people trying to learn how to do hostage negotiation. One of the fun experiences was trying to be crazy for an hour, and everything, I had prompts, and everything the negotiator would say, I was like, if the negotiator says this, keep on hollering this, and I was like, wow, this is kind of fun, and Crud, I think, broke a couple negotiators on the other side. He was a tough guy to crack, but it's just amazing what happens there. What a blessing to have that in
It
our
is
backyard.
we were lucky to have that. There was some forethought that people put in, not just us, was also the fire side of this when they decided to get that property. If you remember, Joey, we got that property off the school district and all the battle we went with that. It was really a long-term event that's gonna be around for many, many years. And, so we get training like that all the time. We get all kind of training that's given to us that we get free spots, NRA, instructor training, rifle training, pistol. We got the instructor training for less lethal. I could just go on and on. That kind of stuff would be thousands of dollars in training that we would have to pay for that we get for free by giving them, turning the lights on and giving them toilet paper. That's pretty much all we gotta do, So we're lucky to do that. Yeah, we're lucky.
Anything else, Chief?
No, I appreciate, I hope I did us justice here. I appreciate
You did
the
great. You always do a
extra
great job.
manpower. I appreciate the help with the dispatch center move. I appreciate getting another civilian employee. That'll really help us. One of the other things a civilian employee is gonna do, is gonna help with the uniform crime reporting, which will now be NIBRS. And also come December, of those 2,500 traffic stops I just talked about, we are gonna have to report to the state. There's like 5 items that we have to report on every traffic stop. Whether we conducted a search, the race of the individual, the age of the individual, whether we wrote a ticket or not, we're gonna have to report all that to the state. It was part of that texting law. They threw that on as a little add-on. We tried to do that previously, 15, 20 years ago. Even on our citations, we had race and everything, and the powers to be at the time made us take all that stuff off. Now they want it all back on. But that's gonna be another reporting requirement besides the uniform crime reporting where, there's gonna be some work for that employee one way or another. So it'll certainly cover our window down there, so we'll have a records card. That's what it comes down to. So appreciate that.
Well, very good. We certainly appreciate what you do and what everyone in the department does.
And yes, I
Counsel, any
was in
other
a
questions
Cadillac
for
ambulance,
police?
just like you.
Council, any discussion of the
Thanks,
budget we learned about this evening, or the budget in general? We went over a lot tonight. Certainly a very large document. We have another budget hearing 1 week from today, and then it'll be in front of us for the December meetings for more discussion and hopefully approval. But certainly, even this evening, it just really highlights the kind of things that the municipality provides here, what kind of services we provide, whether it is a public safety thing, whether we're saving lives, with the fire chiefs up, whether it's human services, whether we're, helping people, improving the quality of life of people that live here with our senior center and library, and then everything that goes into running all of those departments, finance, IT. So it's very important. Everything's very important here. We do a great job here. And these are the kind of services that are very foundational for a great community that we have here in Monroeville. So our next budget hearing, like I said, is next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. I will open the floor for public comment. Anyone here that's in attendance who would like to discuss or ask questions about the budget, now would be your time to do so.
I learned a lot, and I'm very impressed with all of your department heads.
Thank you. So I'll just reiterate, someone learned a lot, and they're very impressed with all of our department heads. Thank you for coming out here this evening. And the budget draft is available on the municipal website. It's also available hard copy here at the municipal building and at the library for review if anyone's interested. All these meetings are certainly, they've been televised this evening live, and then they're also going to be on our YouTube channel tomorrow. And with that, I'd like to seek a motion.
I got a question first.
Go ahead.
On page 27, under expenses, talking about food, and I see there's nothing in there for food. When our people go out on a bad snow, they might be out 14, 16 hours. I think we're compelled to buy them lunch, are we not?
So in the latest labor agreement, we removed the way we would do food reimbursements. So it's a different thing to budget for. Without getting into a lot of detail,
Yeah.
we collect a lot of scrap metal and other kinds of things that gets turned in, and that creates a kitty where the Public Works Director, with proper accounting, will buy pizza and get stuff
Okay.
done for the guys. But there was the way the labor contract was, they negotiated the benefit away. They gave up the benefit. It was quite frankly, an accounting nightmare because sometimes they were telling a business that they were on the company tab, but that wasn't getting relayed, and so, it just was not the best situation. And so, Josie, we took that out in general, so that's why you just don't see it as a specific line item as you once did. The men just work straight through, and they do eat, and they do get taken care of. But we're doing it a little different too at communications. That was also a little nuance that you might want to look up if anyone's interested. Because when they're doing mandatory overtime at 911, they can't go home and make themselves a lunch.
Okay.
So we give them like a pay card and ability to get food.
Right.
down there.
Okay, now, on page 28, under expenses for street lighting, I see in 25, it was $310,000. In 26, $40,000. That's $270,000 difference. Can you explain that?
What page are you on?
Page 28?
Okay.
So we were discussing this a little earlier, and I believe, Josie, this is a function of the way liquid fuels interacts with the general fund.
Correct.
It's a liquid fuels eligible cost, streetlights is, for example, the cost for salt and snow.
Well-
And if you have a heavy year, you buy a lot of salt, and you don't have as much to buy for the streetlights. And if you have a light year, you end up paying more on the streetlight side of it. But Josie could better explain.
Actually, the reason you're seeing a variance is a couple, because in the past years, we would budget the 310. And then when we got the money from liquid fuels, it would reduce that amount.
Okay.
So the reason there's for 26, is because there might be some things in there like the ballpark lights and stuff. Paul Yugas would be able to answer that, but also this year, we opened a separate bank account for the liquid fuels fund, and it's now being treated as its own little entity, which is the way it should have been in prior years. it shouldn't have been budgeted in the general fund.
It was just such a big spread there, it just concerned me.
Yeah, and I believe what is probably in there, you know, could get back to you and look that up, it is like park lighting and stuff like that. Because although it does say street lighting, any lighting that we do at the ball fields and stuff, we can't get reimbursed by highway aid, that's just streets. So,
Hey, thank you.
yep.
That's all I have.
Council, any other questions about the budget to this point? You will have plenty of opportunities to do so after you digest everything tonight. So with that, I'd like to seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good night. This meeting is adjourned.
And you are coming.